Hey Mountaineers Nation, it's time to talk hoops with women's basketball coach Mark Kellogg. This year's squad is deep with new and returning talent and eyes on a Big 12 title and more. So let's get into it. It's the Mark Kellogg Show on your flagship for Mountaineer sports, WV The Torch.
Welcome to a special edition of WVSportsNation.com. That's right, we are live. We are with Coach Mark Kellogg. Well, you know who he is. He is the women's basketball coach of West Virginia University. He's got a little spring in his step, but he always seems to do that because all he does is win. You know, remember it was that coach in Indiana, they said, "Who are you?" And he said, Google me, I win. That's like Coach Mark Kellogg. Just Google my name, I win no matter where I go. Now another great season at West Virginia University women's basketball, rocking and rolling. We're going to get to that in a minute. This segment is brought to you by WVSportsNation.com for all your sports coverage in West Virginia. You want to go to WVSportsNation.com, WVSportsNation.com. You want to bookmark that, get on our email list. You get an email every day about the top stories, especially when West Virginia women's basketball wins another conference game, which they're about to do coming up here pretty shortly. Also, big shout out and to one of our founding sponsors of Coach's Corner, the one and only Rocky Simmons of Vision Homes. Now, for over 3 decades, that's a long time. Vision Homes has built hundreds of custom homes right here in Morgantown and the surrounding areas. Now, their expert team, Crackerjack, they're going to design and build a new home, custom home that fits your needs, your style, and your budget. Maybe you need a bigger home. Maybe you're an empty nester. You want to downsize. Doesn't matter. Here's the thing. They will lock your price in before they start to build. Now, who does that, especially today? So you stay on budget. They guarantee it. That's what The Rock does. He guarantees it. Now, no land yet? No worries. Rocky does that too. Vision Homes can help you with that. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, you're looking to upgrade, you want to build your dream home, you want to downsize, whatever you want, simplify your living space, go to just Ask Vision Homes. Ask Vision Homes. Family company, you go there, Rocky's there, sons are there, Mama Rocky's there. Now, don't mess with Mama Rocky because she's got them all going, right? So get the whole family going here. I love doing business with a family company. If you invest just 1 hour with Vision Homes and the Simmons family, they're going to walk you through their easy step-by-step home building process. They're going to answer any questions you could ever have. All you got to do is go to this site, askvisionhomes.com, askvisionhomes.com, and see how simple it is to build a house you'll be proud of. Askvisionhomes.com, and their CEO, Rocky Simmons, goes to all the women's basketball games. He travels around the country. He can't wait for this weekend coming up. Joining us now, Coach Mark Kellogg. Also, let me introduce our WV women's basketball coach, beat writer, and analyst, Trent Connor, with us. You can find him, of course, on WVSportsNation.com. And let's get right to Coach Mark Kellogg here. Coach, well, here we are. Once again, you're 14-3 on the season. You lost a lot of good players. You got a lot of players in. You're winning again, 4-1 in the conference. Just give us an update as to where you are now, how you see this team, and are you satisfied with what you've seen so far and then going forward? Coach Mark Kellogg.
Yeah, thanks, John. Good to be back on. I think we're in a good spot for sure. I don't know if I'm ever satisfied or feel like we've achieved at the level that I think we're capable of. Dropped the one about a week ago, I guess, to Texas Tech at home, and that was one that kind of hurt a little bit. But I loved the response when we went to Iowa State and they were 11th in the country and found a way to win at Hilton Coliseum, which is not an easy place to play. And now the reward is tonight against number 10 TCU. So we've had 3 ranked opponents here in a row. Big opportunity tonight against, probably an elite 8 level team in TCU. But like our group, they've been fun to coach. Obviously had some great wins along the way in the preseason. The strength of schedule had improved dramatically. We're still only 5 games into this conference Big 12 season, but I think we're in a good place, but still obviously a long way to go.
Are teams now in the Big 12 afraid to come to play in Hope Coliseum now?
Well, I don't know. I know we have a really good home court advantage, and that's why we were probably so disappointed with the Tech game, and we were up in the fourth quarter and up 4 with 2 to play, and didn't find a way to win that, which we had traditionally done, at the Coliseum since I had been here, and we still have a great advantage there. It'll get tested again tonight with the quality of team that TCU brings in, but yeah, we'll rely on that home crowd and the feel of the Coliseum and see if we can't get over the hump.
Trent Connor with us, senior writer, also the beat writer and analyst for WV Women's Basketball. Trent, what do you see tonight? I know you got an article coming out a little bit later on today, your pregame analysis. What does Coach Kellogg and the Mountaineers have to do to win this game?
Yeah, TCU has a really good defense, top 3 in the nation in points allowed per game. But they do turn the ball over just a bit, and they do allow offensive rebounds. So there's a chance for some easier baskets when some shots in the half court may be tougher to make because the way they defend shooters. So the first question I had for you, Coach, was you touched on it, that you're in a really challenging stretch of the conference schedule, 3 ranked opponents. What can you learn about your group in games like these?
Well, probably quite a bit. I think every time we go through one of these, games, experiences, fourth quarters that come down, to the end, which most of the Big 12 games do, is you learn and grow. I thought we had a great response at Iowa when they cut the lead to 4, and that 9,000 people in there get on their feet and it starts to get loud. And how are we going to respond? And I thought that our response was really good. We hit some huge shots, got a few stops behind that to get the lead back to 9, 10, 11. And then kind of coasted from there to the finish, which we didn't do against Texas Tech. So I thought that response was really good. You're right about TCU. This is one of the elite defenses. This is the tallest team in the country. So they're going to have some length on us and some size on us. Most of the time people talk about TCU offensively, but they have been undervalued, in my opinion, on the defensive end. And especially last year, they just create some challenges on that end. So when you get looks, you got to be able to knock them down. You got to create extra opportunities, possessions, so offensive rebounds, turnovers, steals, those types of things. And we got to be dialed in on the defensive end as well. So yeah, lots of challenges. We've learned a lot here over the last couple of weeks, and we'll see what we've really learned tonight.
Yeah.
Coach, go ahead, Trent.
You mentioned their length, and they hold teams to 32% from the field. So what does good offense look against a defense like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's ball movement, it's sharing it, being unselfish, whether that's screening, giving up a good shot to get a great shot, trying to maybe get out in transition if we can to find some easy ones. And so, yeah, you got to be selective, but you have to play well. You have to have shot makers. That's what I've told our team. You got to be ready to make shots. You're going to have to make some tough shots at times. But we don't want to sit there and play isolation ball, or just play out of just a single ball screen and then just stand in space around it. So got to have some good movement around the ball.
Yeah, and Sydney Shaw, she hasn't been scoring as much recently, but her rebounding numbers have increased. Like, what does she give you defensively on the glass when her scoring isn't there?
Yeah, Iowa State played her in kind of some diamond in 1 defense, triangle in 2. So they were trying to face guard her, limit her touches. And she could have done probably a little bit better job. I could have done a better job getting her a few more looks. But to her credit, when she got the open one, she did knock them down. And then really Shaw, just what she's been able to do on the defensive end since she got here. She has changed her game dramatically. She's bought into that end. And that's the end that, I'm probably the most proud of her right now. Is it's hard to bring her off the floor just because of the confidence I have her on her defensively and with helping rebound and just knowing where to be and in the right spot. So yeah, really proud of her. Hopefully the scoring, we get that tick back up a little bit here as we, get into these next few games.
Yeah, and she's a gifted athlete. She has a really strong ability to make tough contested shots. How critical is it for her to get into a rhythm tonight against TCU?
Oh yeah, it'd be great. I mean, with our starting 5, they can all score it. And that's the good news is, you can't key in typically on one player. Iowa State, I think, did try to take her out of the game, though. And then you see what Jordan Harrison and Mimi Wheeler and, Gia didn't have her best game either, Cook. And so we need to get Gia going, too. That's the other one offensively who hasn't scored it great the last 2 games. So we got to find some production from her and help her a little bit as well. And then, Jordan Harrison's playing at a high level. Mimi Wheeler's been a great player for us, and we only get her for a year, but she's been really good out of the portal. And then Carter McRae's kind of started to turn it on. And then I thought our bench was really good against Iowa State. So we'll need everybody.
Yeah, and the team may not fare as well in the half court tonight just because of the length of TCU and how they limit shots. And your defense thrives on forcing turnovers. How critical is it to convert those moments into offense?
Well, it is, and we have actually not been able to turn TCU over traditionally as much as we do other teams, and so that will be something to keep an eye on. But when we do need to convert. So to your point, yes, if we do get turnovers, live ball steals are even more important than the turnovers. Those are the ones we really need to convert because that's when we'll have some space.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jordan Harrison. She's playing really well now in conference play, and she had a huge impact defensively against Iowa State with 7 steals. What does her defensive energy do for your team, especially when it leads to easy buckets on the other end?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan sets the tone on both ends. So she's obviously our point guard. So offensively, the ball's in her hand a lot. So she's the tone setter there. But then defensively, with her pressure and some of the press, she's at the front line of that. And so I always think the better and more pressure we put at the top of it, then everybody else kind of has to follow suit, because you don't want to watch those two bust their butts or Jordan bust her butt and then, relax and be lazy behind them. That doesn't do us any good. So Jordan, again, sets the tone. Obviously, an all Big 12 defensive kid. She's a first-team defensive player a couple of years ago in the Big 12. So, I think her last 2 games have been her best 2 of the season. So hopefully she's rounding into shape. I'm sure TCU will put some emphasis on her as they traditionally do. And so, again, we'll have to make sure we help Jordan a little bit on the offensive end tonight.
Yeah, and TCU has some really good guards. I mean, especially Olivia Miles. I mean, she's got 4 triple doubles on the season. She impacts the game in a lot of ways. How important is guard rebounding and team box outs tonight against TCU?
Yeah, it's important. Most of hers come on the defensive end, honestly, so that's a little bit different because she's got the inside position. But yes, if they're getting offensive rebounds, we got a problem, because you can't limit a top 10 offense to multiple opportunities. A year ago we played them in the Big 12 semifinals at the Big 12 tournament. And I think we had it down to a 3-point game late, and they got 4 offensive rebounds and then drilled a 3, and it was kind of game over at that point. You're just playing with fire if you give them too many extra possessions. So rebounding probably for both teams, extra possessions will be huge tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of extra possessions, Carter McRae has really provided a boost in that aspect since entering the starting lineup. She has about 3.5 offensive rebounds per game since becoming a starter. What has her presence meant for your lineup and overall balance?
Yeah, no, it's been big, and she kind of took over when Jordan Thomas, or JT as we call her, got hurt. And Carter was hurt early too, so she was kind of late blooming, I guess, getting into practice and getting the right reps. And so I think we're starting to see her at her best. She's a little undersized, but a really strong, athletic, phenomenal offensive rebounder. So she can create some of those second chance points for us. She's fearless though a little bit. So 6'7" will bother her some, but I also think she's got enough, skill set, to work around it, find different ways to still give us some paint production.
Yeah, and we talked about getting those easy buckets off turnovers, but how valuable are those second chance opportunities against a defense like TCU when scoring may be a little difficult?
Yeah, it depends on how good your first shot, is. If you're making your first shot, then no need to offensive rebound. If you're not making your first shot, then offensive rebounding becomes really, really important. And it will be difficult. And they're going to, force us into probably some shots that we may not want to take ideally. So then if you can go get an offensive rebound, and then they're out of their structure defensively, typically on offensive rebounds. And so that's when you get kick out threes and some different looks, just because their structure is broken a little bit on an offensive rebound.
All right, and you mentioned Gia Cook having a little bit of a struggle in recent games, and earlier in the season she was consistently getting to the free throw line, and she hasn't shot a free throw in the last 2 games. What does staying aggressive and attacking the basket bring to her game and the team?
Yeah, no, she needs to just get back to, getting the right shots. And, I thought she forced it a little bit at Iowa State and is kind of hoping for a whistle as opposed to try to make the shot and then let's get the whistle. And I think maybe looking for the whistle first. And so that's a big piece of her game. These teams know that now. There's more film on her now. She's our leading scorer. So when you put a game plan together, typically as coaches, we go to the leading scorer and then you work your way down the box score, and that's how you develop a game plan. And so she's getting a lot of attention. And so we've just got to help her too. She's got to help herself. But I don't want her to lose sight of that. That is what she does best, is get to the rim, finish, get to the free throw line, and then she complements that with making enough threes that you have to guard her.
All right, and one last thing, Coach. What do you want this team to continue building on as the season moves forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have several things we've identified that we need to get a little bit better at. One is the defensive end, and especially as the game goes, the fourth quarter defense. Like if we're going to win some of these close games, we got to dial in and be really, really good on the defensive end. We're still a top 20, 30 defensive team, but we need to get into the top 15 probably to really do what we want to do. And then offensively at times, we haven't made as many perimeter shots as we would have liked. That's starting to tick up. Our percentage is actually really good in league play. I think we lead the Big 12 in 3-point percentage in Big 12 play, which we were nowhere near that, like basically the first semester through those first few games. So I think we're starting to see some trends offensively kick up, but still got some concerns there when we get against these TCU type defenses. And then how can we've really got to lock in on the defensive end and get a little bit better. I think that's our biggest growth, is the defensive end.
So, Coach, you got a major height disadvantage today, major. So how do you keep these big frogs out of the paint and just dominating in there and getting a bunch of easy baskets?
Yeah, I mean, John, it's really, we are every night. That's nothing new for us. We're smaller at the guard positions. We're usually smaller at, in the post. So, they're just longer than what we traditionally see. But they don't all play at the same time, I guess, so they've got like 2 6'7s, a 6'8, a 6'9, but they're not all on the floor together. Right. So typically you're just going against one of them, that's 6'7 or taller. And then you got a 6'3", 4 player, and their guards have good size too, which is not abnormal for us. So, I don't know that it changes a lot. You talk about your post players and we just give them the different moves that we're looking for. Maybe you go finish on the other side of the rim to use the rim as a, little extra protection. So I think you have a few things in game plan wise, but big picture, it's what we go against every night.
Trent, in your mind, what is the biggest thing that has to happen tonight for Mountaineers win?
Yeah, obviously the WVU forces a lot of turnovers, but I think converting those into offensive baskets, easy points, is the biggest emphasis for them to get the win tonight.
Coach, what is your biggest your biggest apprehension going into tonight's game? The one thing that if you don't fix or you don't do, you guys are going to be in trouble. Not to tip your hand for your opposing coach, but give us a feel of what that is.
Well, yeah, I don't know that there's necessarily just one. I mean, I think you got to be dialed in defensively just because of how dynamic they are. Olivia Miles controls the game. She's one of the best, point guards in the country. She is dynamic in what she does. They have size, they have scoring, they can shoot it. So offensively, they're really talented. So we've got to be so dialed in on that end. And then, I think offensively for us, we've got to share it. We've got to move it. We've got to be able to find the right shots. And then when we get them, you just have to knock them down. Like it's not a night. If you shoot 35%, you're not winning the game. So you got to make some shots.
More general question. When you get one of your top scorers, and it just happens every season you have one, that just can't find it. They get into a slump. Couple games go down. They're just, shots are not dropping. They're not knocking them down, shooting a little bit off balance. When you go into practice, how do you deal with that? How do you get them back on track?
Yeah, just to remind them, keep their confidence up, remind them of their maybe taking the right shots. They're just not going in. So as long as they're taking the right ones, then we think the odds will come back in their favor at some point, right? If you're a 40% 3-point shooter and you have a couple bad games, the odds say over your career, you're probably going to end up, getting back to the mean. So really just kind of talking it through. If we're not taking the right shots, then we need to talk that through. And we need to figure out, hey, we're just not taking the right ones. Don't force it. Be patient. Let the game come to you, And so I think it kind of depends on what that slump is a little bit. And then we would also ask them to work outside of practice. Like, are we in the gym enough? Are we working on those things? So when you get the opportunity, you're capable of taking advantage.
Coach, when camp broke, the one player now that you didn't see coming, like I didn't see that coming, like that has well exceeded your expectations going into your first game when camp was over, who is that?
Yeah, I don't know that we have one, but I would say I think I would put the portal class together as one and say it's worked pretty well for it. Like I think we got what we expected to get out of those portal kids. I think you're seeing a lot of teams maybe that don't, or they go, dump some money into one kid and they get hurt or don't produce at the level. And then obviously you take a step back because you're pretty reliant on those veteran, portal type kids. But Gia Cook's been, what we needed her to be. Mimi Wheeler's been the same way. Carter McCray, Logan Johnson, Riley off the bench. Like, we've had a really good group of portal kids that have come in that have really given us what we need them to do. So, I don't know if I have one, but I would put that whole group together and say, yeah, they've lived up to what we've needed them to be so far.
Trent?
Yeah, Texas Tech's head coach mentioned in the post-game presser after the game that they expected you guys to have a really big third quarter as you have had all season. How do you carry that over into the fourth quarter of games? And has fatigue played an issue in that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something we've looked at and tried to evaluate. It could. There's a couple games where we probably didn't get to the bench enough in that, late third quarter, maybe early fourth, to then be fresh to close the game. So that's something we've talked about. Not sure if that's always it. The players seem to think they were okay and not tired, but the numbers at times don't suggest that based on some of the fourth quarter points given up. So, again, something we've got our eyes on. We need to clean it up for sure. And the third quarter has been our money quarter, but at the same time, the fourth quarter needs to be your money quarter if you're going to finish it off.
So, Trent, you predicted almost every one of these games flawlessly. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me your prediction. I know it's going to show up in your article a little bit later on WSportsNation.com. Give me your prediction for tonight's game.
Yeah,
and I know I'm putting you in a tough spot with Coach Kellogg on.
No, I predicted West Virginia to win this game in front of the crowd at Hope Coliseum. Home field or home court definitely has a big factor in this game, but I think the matchup is good for the Mountaineers if they can, convert those easy buckets, because the half-court offense may struggle against this length, but if you convert the easy ones, then that leads to a little bit more rhythm, in the half-court offense.
Coach, by the end of the season, I'm telling you, no one is gonna want to come and play in Hope Coliseum against you guys. I mean, I can see this coming. The fan base there is building. They're very enthusiastic. It's a lot of fun to play there. And tonight's going to be just the same as in Hope Coliseum. By the way, this segment also brought to you by Hope Gas, who basically we named the Coliseum after them. The Hope Coliseum. Today's segment with WV women's basketball coach Mark Kellogg, sponsored by Hope Gas. West Virginia is for hope. Find out why it's time for West Virginia to shine again. WVsforhope.com. Hope Gas, dedicated to serving their customers in West Virginia, especially the Mountaineers. Don't forget that. Learn more about their history and how they provide great service, like to our 9 properties in West Virginia, all of our signals there, and see how Hope Gas is improving the lives in the communities they serve. Hope Gas proudly provides safe and reliable natural gas service to approximately 150,000 homes and businesses throughout the Mountain State, including, again, all of our 9 radio towers. Thank you, Hope Gas, for a super job. They proudly serve West Virginia. More information, go to hopegas.com. That's hopegas.com. Coach, always good to have you. I want to thank you for being with us. I know you got a lot to do tonight. Good luck tonight in Hope Coliseum, and let's bring home the W.
Let's do it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, Coach. Always a good time. Now, remember, all of this on WVSportsNation.com. Go to WVSportsNation.com. Join our Facebook page there, WVSportsNation.com. And hey, if you follow any of West Virginia athletics at all, well, it's all right there, WVSportsNation.com. Trent Connor, want to thank him, our WVU Mountaineers women's basketball coach, beat writer, and analyst, all in one. He does it all. Trent, thanks for being with us. Coach Kellogg, thanks for being with us. Back to regular programming. Don't forget tonight's game. Let's go, Mountaineers. Let's go.
You've been listening to The Mark Kellogg Show, an exclusive presentation of WV The Torch. Hit WVSportsNation.com for complete coverage of the Mountaineer sports universe. We now return to regularly scheduled programs. Thanks for listening.